I think that's the toughest part, to be successful that young. And now we have to go to a space where we're just like everybody else in society. And in some cases, it's okay. It's okay to maybe go get a job. I'm a CPA. Nobody's celebrating me. But guess what? I'm getting a good check and I'm going home. And now it's time for me to build my family. It doesn't mean because I'm not in this arena and people watch me that I'm not making a contribution to society. And that's the sad reality of setting our kids up for failure, to make them believe that to be on that level of acceptance in terms of being in this arena, being celebrated is the key to life, or it's, the pinnacle to life. And it's not. It's just a moment, man. To speak to what your mission is, we just got to take these principles that we apply in sports. What did it take to win? How did we get past the loss? And we need to shift that to the outside box of sports.
What's happening, beautiful people? Welcome back to the Thrive After Sports podcast. Just a quick intro today. I'm going to get right into this interview. I know you guys want to see Coach Mosley from Last Chance U. If you guys aren't familiar with Last Chance U, what are you guys doing? I've been watching Last Chance U since the early seasons when they were doing the football ones. You guys know I'm a football guy, right? So I started watching Last Chance U for the football seasons. Then when they came out with season 1 of Last Chance U basketball, automatically became my favorite seasons. I just fell in love with Coach Mosley, everything he's doing. The basketball seasons are arguably the best seasons of Last Chance U. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out on Netflix. I'm really excited for you guys to hear this interview. I tried to ask Coach Mosley questions that he doesn't normally get. I know a lot of people want to talk to him about, what was it like being on Netflix, and they want to talk basketball with him. I wanted to talk to Coach Mosley about his philosophy on life, the way he interacts with these young men. Wanted to get more into his story about, life after basketball for him, some of the things he went through during his transition. And I think it was great. We covered a lot of topics. I really just wanted to let him talk the whole time. I didn't even want to ask any more questions. I just wanted to hit record and let him speak. But that's it. I love you guys. Appreciate you tuning in to the show. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel already, please do so. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure you subscribe, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Leave your boy a 5-star review. And as always, if there's ever any way I can help you, a friend, a family member, or former teammate through your transition out of your sport, I want you to visit TajDeshaun.com. Check out all the free resources I have for former athletes and retiring athletes and transitioning athletes. And don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm not hard to find. I'm here to support. I'm in your corner. I love you guys. Let's get into this episode with Coach Mosley from Last Chance U. Just to give you some background about the show itself, I'll give you my 30-second bio. I don't want to take too much time on that, but grew up in Pasadena, not too far away from Elac, and ended up moving out to the IE, kind of in, I grew up in Upland, played football at Upland High out there in the IE where Coach Rob was at for a while. And ended up going to play football out in New York at a school called Stony Brook. Came back home, was just super depressed because I didn't make it to the league. Like a lot of athletes go through, just not knowing what to do next. Once I got back on my feet, I started this program called ThriveAfterSports, which is really designed to help athletes transition out of college, going into the real world, so to speak. I work with former professional athletes, former Olympians as well, but the sweet spot is really former collegiate athletes. Set up a lot of programming to where I can work with athletes for free, but I can still put food on my table. Had to get creative with how to do that. But to make a long story short, I was watching Last Chance U, and I just fell in love with you, man. And I know that sounds weird, but I'm happily married to a woman. But when I say I fell in love with you, you reminded me of some of the best coaches I've ever had. And you coached the game of basketball with the intensity and the passion of a football coach, which I really appreciated. And so, like I said, I don't want to talk too much about the show or really about basketball. I want to talk to you about life. And I thought a good place for us to start was on one of I think it was season 1, you mentioned you had a coach tell you that just flat out, you weren't good enough to make it to the NBA. And I just wanted to take a deeper dive. What did that do for you in that moment? How did you feel when he said that to you?
Well, it hits, man. It hits when you kind of are told, or you come to the realization that you're not good enough. And if I have one trade or one thing that I'd say I wish my dad gave me a little bit more dose of reality. In the sense that it was great. My dad is gone. He passed in the late 90s. But what was great about him is he would, and I'm talking about all the kids and all the young men in the community, he would just empower them and just say they're going to be great. My dad told me, I thought I was Superman. I thought I was going to be Michael Jordan. the president of the United States. I thought I was going to be all of that. Just the way that he infused the confidence and just let me know that I can be anything. But then there's a reality to that as well. And it's true, you can be. But the reality is having the talent. The reality is what it's going to take to be that and to work and do that and to have the look, to have all of that. And, I'm faith-based. I believe and from the core, my faith. But I do say there has to be a little luck there as well. It's time and place, and everything's kind of got to work out in a line for you to be in the elite. It doesn't mean that you're not necessarily elite, but to be in that elite, everything has to align, man. You got to be in that top percentile of ability, intelligence, and all that, and then you got to have a little luck. So that don't guarantee anything. And so I'd say that hit hard, and it was a little disappointing when I felt that, and when I realized. But having that foundation, having that support, it helped me to regain focus and kind of circle back and see what I can do from there.
How far were you into your college career when he told you that? Are we talking like junior year, senior year?
Yeah, so I went to junior college and I was okay. I was kind of all state honorable mention, which is a pretty big deal. I led the state in assists. Ironically, I went to school here, got recruited by a number of schools. And just like some of these guys, I still struggled in junior college with the academics. And so it shied away some of the opportunities. I went on 2 Division I visits, and then I ended up at an NAIA school. And I really never had that foundation, man. I really never had anybody similar to some of these guys. They tell them, hey, you could just go and just using what they had and really not set me down and built on that. It's like, it's fine what you got here. You helping us win, you helping us compete, but what you're doing now is not going to translate. I didn't get enough of that. I got some of it, but I didn't get enough of it. And so you go to the next level, even though it was a really good NAIA school, and we were, going to the Final Fours and all that. And I didn't get some of the things that I was doing. It didn't translate, and I was never really, there was no honesty, or maybe I was just too arrogant to believe what they were telling me, because at that moment I was getting a chance to perform, and I was like, man, I'm not hearing what y'all talking about. Instead of really pressing, and that's what I try to do now, is really press and say, that's not going to work. That's not going to fly. Yes, you're successful with me. Yes, you can make buckets here, but unless you close out, unless you do these little details, what you're doing now won't translate. And it's hard for young men to see that. It's hard for myself to see that what I'm doing now won't translate unless I'm having success here, but it won't translate unless I grow in the space that I'm in right now. And, that's something that I dig in with these guys. Like, I could care less what you look like right now. And somebody asked me about the episode when the young man came in my office and say, hey, coach, am I doing a good job? And I'm like, I'm not going to celebrate you right now because I know what's ahead. So me telling you you're doing a great job right now, that's not going to help you for the future sometime in some ways. Yeah, I do have to encourage you and let you know, but like, bro, you got a lot more to grow because when you get to the next level, it won't translate. And so I think that's initially where the space that I was in, man, I was just kind of shocked, and I couldn't believe he said it, but he was a good man. So I was able to believe it because he had good intentions. And I was like, man, is he really telling me this? And then he actually shed a tear and told me that. And then, from that point, then I kind of transitioned into, okay, what do I do next?
Right. And you brought up a good point about, you could tell that the coach had good intentions. And that's one thing I see from you as I watch the show, and I'm seeing you yell at some of the players and they don't respond well to it. And I think to myself, like you said, as a young man, I didn't respond well to that type of stuff either. But in hindsight, I can look at it and see like, man, he's yelling because he really cares. And I know that ultimately, the main goal, you want to get guys out, you want to help them go to the next level. But the thing that I appreciate the most about you, coach, is that I'm seeing that you're really helping them get prepared for life. And I know that's really the root of what you're doing. You're helping them through basketball, of course, and want to help them get out. But can you just speak a little bit about maybe it's a subconscious thing, that everything you do is helping them get prepared for life and when basketball ends? Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I always share that I see myself in them, and I see some of the barriers that prevented me from being better, or and it was a lack of being open-minded to what to criticism, and being able to take it and understand. So all of the in terms when I criticize, and when I give them this tough love, and when I tell them they got to respond better to adversity, these are all things that as men, it's just hard, and not only as men but young black men uh, that they got to be prepared for. I'd say, man, you ain't gonna be cute. You're only cute for a few more years. Your parents think you're cute; they supporting you. Your grandparents, your trainer, because you paying him money, he thinks you're cute. So everybody, you're not gonna be cute when you walk in front of that hiring manager with that resume. You got to prove who you are. You have to have some substance behind it. So, I mean, ultimately, I'm sharing with them every day that, man, you got to be better than better. You got to be greater than great. Well, coach, I'm doing all right now. Well, there's a roadblock coming that's looking better, looking for more than just great. There's a roadblock that's coming that's looking for more than just your smile or your charm or your charisma. You're going to have substance. You're going to have cover all bases. And I think we take the game of basketball and we try to cover all these bases. I try to cover everything. I was sharing with my guys yesterday, and this applies to life. Everybody goes and they train, they work on their shot and this and that. But what about running and catching? What about your pay? What about your conditioning? We're going to win a game. This applies to life too. We try to cover everything. One of these games we're going to win because we're in better shape. One of these games we're going to win because we just physically tougher. One game we're going to win because we didn't turn the ball over. One game we're going to win because we rebounded well that game. A team may be stronger than us, but for some way, somehow, we were able to out-rebound them. One game, yeah, we're going to win a couple games because we shot the ball well. But some games we may not shoot well, so we got to go offensive rebound and get back. And it applies to life, man. We got to try to cover all our bases. We can't be a baller on the court and then slip up in the classroom. Like at some point, you're going to need those academic habits. Well, I'm cool. All the teachers know I'm an athlete. I'm cool. Well, there's going to be a teacher that you need to be able to say, how do you handle socially? How do you handle emotionally a teacher who hates on you? You got to walk in there with a smile. You got to be able to sit there and understand there are some teachers that's going, well, the teacher don't like me. Okay, what do you do about it? Fine, they don't like, but they still control a part of your destiny. They still control a part of your of you moving forward. So you got to figure that out. And ain't nobody say kiss nobody but you got to figure out in that space, what do I do? How do I respond so that I can get the best and I can win in this moment, win in this particular situation. And it applies, and that's the beauty of sports, man. There's so many failures and successes in sports within the game that it prepares us. And I think a lot of companies and CEOs, and they like to see, there's not as many former athletes that are CEOs anymore, but they look to bring in student athletes because of the highs and lows, the ebb and flow that we've gone through. We just got to, to speak to what your mission is, we just got to get past that and take these principles that we apply in sports, these failures and successes, the losses and the wins. What did it take to win? How did we get past the loss? And we need to shift that to the outside box of sports.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I love what you said about, you're not going to be cute forever.
Yeah.
And I want to get back to your story too, because, I think about myself when I stopped being cute. I went from big man on campus, football star. All the ladies love me in New York because I'm from California. Now I'm 23 back home in my childhood bedroom with no job prospects, no idea how to put a resume together. That's not really cute. So at the moment when you graduated and you finished your basketball career, did you have a moment where you were struggling to adapt to, no longer competing? Or what was that period like for you, like immediately after basketball was over?
Yeah, looking for acceptance in another space and being celebrated in another space. The reality is, in most cases, it doesn't happen for us. It's not going to happen to the level that we had. And now I think that's the toughest part is to be young, to be celebrated, to be successful that young. And it's really going to go away for 98% of us. That's going to go away. And now we have to go to a space where we are ordinary and get paid, and we're just like everybody else in society. And it takes an extraordinary person to say, well, I want more than that, and look past that, and not to just sit in that. And in some cases, it's okay. It's okay to maybe go get a job. I'm a CPA. Nobody's celebrating me. But guess what? I'm getting a good check, and I'm going home, and now it's time for me to build my family. It doesn't mean because I'm not celebrated, because I'm not on this television platform, because everybody there, I'm not in this arena of people watch me, that I'm not making a contribution to society. Maybe I'm making a contribution. And that's the sad reality of setting our kids up and our young men up for failure, to make them believe that to be on that level of acceptance in terms of being in this arena, being celebrated is the key to life, or it's, the pinnacle to life. And it's not, it's just a moment, man. It's all vanity. I go to scripture and it talks about vanity. Our youth is vain because we're cute, we're feeling good, we're running fast, we got energy, and it's vain because that's going to go away. That's only a short period of our lives where we're going to have that moment. Or our youth, I'm starting to get wrinkles. We're going to get wrinkly. We're going to get a dad bod, and the majority of our life is going to be like that. So we have to figure out how to live in that space. And are we going to allow those things, those wrinkles? Are we going to allow the dad bod? Are we going to allow the lack of energy to define us? Is that going to define us? Because we're no longer cute. We no longer have the six pack. Is that going to define us? We no longer are in this space where everybody's celebrating you because you perform and they see you on this platform. And that's the preparation. So I even share with my guys, man, they got on me. They teasing me because one of my guys had a birthday. And like, what are we going to do, man? Is the pony and the floaties, what we want to do, ponies and floaties for your birthday? We're going to do that for the rest of your life? Happy birthday. What do I got to say happy birthday to you? Like, man, get over it. Some people criticize me for it, but in reality, I do care. It's great. You lived another year. But for the most part, man, we can't have a pony every birthday. We got to move on. We got to have life. And it feels kind of harsh. And it is harsh. But I share with those guys that right now because I want them to break them of believing that they have to be celebrated for everything, because you're not. You could be the most successful guy. I've had a lot of success before Netflix, the show came on. And it was hurtful that nobody supported, nobody celebrated. It is hurtful, but I got to look past it. And to be honest, I think that prepared me for right now, because we did so much. We've accomplished a lot more than when Netflix came around in terms of the schools, my guys being in Pac-12 schools and going here and going there, the success at winning that we had, and many of things, success as a coach. I had more success when no cameras were here and all that. And now the cameras are here and everybody wants to elevate. Oh, you're a great job. You're a great coach. And you know what? I kind of looked past it and I was like, you know what, man, I'm good. I'm not going to look I'm not going to be defined by how everyone celebrates me now because of the Netflix show. We could be defined by the work that I put in and really feel comfortable and really feel content with what I've done and what I've accomplished, and success based on what I've accomplished and what I put in, not how other people define what my success should be or how they look at me as being successful.
When you talk about being celebrated, you just made me think of something deep. I was thinking about this while you were sharing. I think as not only as athletes, but as men, and I'm not saying this doesn't apply to women, because the majority, not the majority, 50% of the athletes I work with are former female athletes. I think they're more likely to open up and ask for help and things like that. But my point is, when you talk about being celebrated, I think there has to be a transition into maturity, which is really what you're talking about as a man, where you go from trying to be celebrated to trying to be of service and almost finding your new purpose and mission through that. And that kind of leads me to what I wanted to ask you about, how you got into coaching. Did you always know that you wanted to be a coach, or how did the coaching career kick off after you finished playing basketball yourself?
Yeah, well, I left and had all these bright ideas. Well, number one, wanted to play professional. And I played a little bit, went to Australia. And then after I did the mission trip, played a little bit in Brazil. But I came back and I had one class to finish. And my coach said, well, yeah, just come on and finish that class. I'll pay for it. You help me coach. And in that time, coming back from the missions trip, realizing that, I can speak into to young men life or people in general in their lives. And I found myself being excited about going out and recruiting young men and speaking into their lives. And I've really had a platform, and they're looking at me and they're receiving it, and it's actually impacting them. And then I was with a Hall of Fame coach who was, his mentor was John Wooden. And I really saw the game of basketball in its purity. And I saw he was my coach. I didn't see any of it as the player, but then as on the coaching side, when I got a chance to sit with him, I saw like, man, not only was I impacting the young men, they were my age really, because I just started, but then I saw the purity and I saw the development of basketball, and I saw how men were developing because there's this carrot of basketball. And I can say, I got this carrot, and I'm saying, look, if you want to play, here's what we need on the court. Here's what we need from your character so that we can give you the keys to the car so that you can represent this program. And it was a Christian program. So there was a lot of representation in terms of integrity that we wanted, the standards we had from an integrity standpoint. We wanted to win. The school wanted to win. We wanted to develop men. And so I got an opportunity to be at this, the small private school and coach. And there were a lot of standards. And so a lot of those standards we had to, there's some places you go where it's like, look, you got to win. And integrity is out the door, whatever we got to do to win so that we can keep these television contracts. We're a Power 5 school at all costs. We got to win. But we broke it down, and we had all these different standards, the standards of living out your faith through basketball, the standards of living out as young men, the standards of winning. And I was fortunate enough, I was under a mentor who had all these standards. And I saw basketball in its purity. I saw us win. I saw us develop young men. I saw us minister and take the group of guys and minister. I saw us planting seeds in the young men, and I saw them grow. And so I was very fortunate. I was very blessed to be able to see all that in the beginning stages of my career. And I had a father. He was great. He loved to see young men, and he loved to mentor young men. All the guys on my block came to my house. My dad would cut up some potatoes, and then he would throw them in the frying pan, and then they would come over, and after school, whatever, we was 5-minute walking distance from my high school, and we just corralled at my house, and I was the team barber, so I can cut hair. So it was just like it was always a sense of camaraderie, and I missed team. And so I went back, and I enjoyed being with my mentor and being with the guys again. I missed that, and then I still miss it to this day. And so I love that team environment. I still act like I'm one of these dudes right now. So, yeah, that's how it started, man. I thought I was going to come take my class, and then I was going to bounce and go do something else. Like I had all kind of things I was going to do, man. I went and got during the time I got an apprentice barber license. So I was doing barbering. I was running around doing all the, pyramid schemes. I was doing financial services with, all these finance companies. I was doing business. I was doing acting on the side. I was doing some of everything, down in LA, everybody's an actor,
Right. I heard you were a rapper. I was going to say, I heard you were a rapper too.
I was doing everything, man. And unfortunately, man, I got bound back into ministry and coaching, and it was all wrapped together, man. And that's kind of where God he isolated me and forced me in that position. And he closed all these other doors. And so from there, that's where it started.
I'm glad you brought up the rapping thing. I heard you mention that in another interview. I'm like, I'm definitely about to ask Coach about the rapping career. Where can I go hear the mixtape, Coach? Where's it at?
Oh my gosh, man. You know what? I'm gonna tell you something. My son is really good in terms of making beats. I let him down, man, because I said, man, you make a beat this summer, man, I'm gonna rap on it. And I just couldn't put it together like I used to back in the day, but I passed it over to my son. Me and my buddies got some stuff. I have no idea where that stuff is. It's not on our phones. Like, we got everything on our phones now. Anything we record, it's streamed, it's online. We can save it on cloud systems. So it's somewhere on some CDs somewhere, man. But I remember we being in the studio and doing some stuff. And I remember getting some money from a sub label under Sony. And we were in the studio with them and a couple projects. And then it just kind of, it was on the shelf and never. And I said, man, let me just go finish balling and doing all that and being about basketball. So, but did a couple shows, talent shows, did modeling. We LA, man, we did everything.
Right. Like you said, I think it's a LA thing because I grew up just outside of LA. But even me, I was trying to be, make beats and work in the music industry. It's just like it's right there. I might as well go make an attempt and see if I can make something happen. I did the same thing. But I want to go, I can't let go of this idea or this concept you brought up earlier about being celebrated and how that leads into going from wanting to be celebrated, which is purely selfish. It's all about me, me, me. And then you mature and become, a young man. And then it becomes, okay, instead of being celebrated, let me just try to go serve and find my purpose and fulfillment through that. And so another thing that I really appreciated by watching the show is that I became a better coach. Obviously I'm not coaching basketball, but the way you interact and you deal with your players, not just on the court or during games or during practice, but those one-on-one interactions, by watching those interactions and, even some of the emotional things, praying with the players, crying with them, getting on them if you need to, yell them at, like, just all the stuff that you do is so appreciated and made me better as a coach. And do you feel that now, as you've matured and you're focused on your purpose and serving, that is a way that for you to almost celebrate yourself? I'm not sure if my question makes sense, where you find the purpose in serving and then that allows you to celebrate yourself, almost like fills the gap of how you were looking to be celebrated when you were playing basketball. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there's a sense of content, a sense of contentment in what we're doing and realizing that, I'm pouring into other people and I can, it's almost like you can live out through them. You can live out. I've helped my son get to where he's at, and I'm watching all this that I poured into him. And, that's my child. I watched my daughter. She won a playoff game last night, actually out there. She beat Riverside Poly out there. But ultimately, yeah, being able to pour it into them and it's kind of like your children. You can be proud without tooting your own horn. Because you can see some of the seeds that you planted in them and you can see them grow and you can see just the response change. You can see all those things change. And so I don't need anybody to celebrate me. That's my sense of satisfaction. I tell my guys, when you go to college, when you get your college degree and when you play, don't bring me any t-shirts from your university. And I don't need, hey man, bring me some gear. Like, I don't need nothing from you. What I need to do is see you on TV. And when I see that, I'm good. One of the biggest things, man, when we talk about celebration, I'll never forget this, the most humbling thing, and I think it kept me grounded. Number one, I got a chance to spend time with John Wooden. My mentor was mentored by Wooden. We went to breakfast one time, and I asked him, I said, just asking a few things, and he said one of the biggest things is never get too high, never get too low. For every high, there is a low. So for the top of the mountain that you're on, there's going to be some bottoms. So you can't let the bottoms get you all down and out and feel bad or depressed or non-working or whatever. And that can't define you. And then the highs can't define you either. The people, they celebrate you and they tell you you're great and all these wonderful things. And you're not that great, And I think Jerry West said it. You're not as great as they tell you, and you're not as bad as they tell you. So I took that information. For every high, there's a low, and I'm trying to stay even keel and realize that, man, if they're not going to celebrate me, fine, I'm going to just keep doing it. And if they are going to celebrate me, fine, I'm going to just keep doing it. I'm not going to take the celebration and believe that that's all me as well. I was on a plane coming back. I'll never forget coming back from Australia, where I go over there. Best friend of mine is playing on the top team, and he's kind of famous. I walk off the plane, and cameras are coming around me. I'm like, wow, all these cameras coming around. And I'm the best friend of this guy. And then I'm playing on a pro team over there. I'm being celebrated. And I'm like, wow. And so I'm over there for a while. And I never forget, I'm feeling good. In a lot of spaces I go to, everyone's looking like, I think he's somebody, oh, you're the basketball player, right? Everybody's celebrating. Well, long story short, I come home, I get off I'm sure, I don't know, I think they changed the airport. Still Tom Bradley Airport at LAX. I get off the plane, Tom Bradley International. I walk off and my chest is out. I'm walking around like, yeah, John Mosley here. I look around, man, don't nobody know who the hell I am, man. Everywhere I go, I'm trying to look for, like, accepted. Like, don't you know who I am? Man, don't nobody know who I am, man, in LA. I got off that plane, man, after being celebrated, everybody, and it was just a slap in the face. It took me 2 weeks to come down from that. Like, don't you know who I am? I was just over there. I was a star over there. Like, don't nobody know who I am? And I was getting treated a certain way. And I get over here in Tom Bradley Airport and don't nobody know who I am. People treating me rude again. I go to McDonald's, man, and, you know, what you want? You know, like, come on, man. Y'all don't know who I am. So I'll never forget that. And that's something that brought me back down, man. Never forget, you know, because I was at one of the highest in terms of even beyond college being celebrated. I was like, I'm a pro ball player. And I get over here and don't nobody know. So for every high, there is a low, man. And so now I just kind of try to stay even keeled. And I try to give my young men, like, okay, I tell them, don't ever make a bucket and score and say, let's go. You should have been going. Don't get turned up because you made a bucket. I said, I can't stand let's go. I hate let's go. You already should have been going. And right. When things don't go right, don't pout, don't complain, don't mope. It's highs and lows, man. And I take that and I try to pour that into the guys, man. There's highs and lows. You know, a year from now, everybody may hate me as a coach. And so it is what it is. You know, right now, people love some of the things that was extracted from the show. And okay, fine. That's great. We can talk about it. There's 1,000 guys doing what I'm doing that are just like me. They just put me on a show and they brought it out and they put some music behind it and it makes it sound better. They put some sound effects on it. And so I just take it all with a grain of salt. And I try to pour that into the guys too.
Yeah. On that note, I know you're a humble guy. You're a humble man, but I don't think it's just the music and the way Netflix rolls it out. I really do think it's you. And I look at even the way, you know, they highlighted some other coaches throughout the series, show the opposing teams and things like that. Mm-hmm. There's something that you have. And I think that, I think it comes from just who you are as a person, but also your heart for service and how you actually do want to make an impact. So I know you're trying to give credit to Netflix for making you look good, but it was all you, coach, at least from where I'm standing. You know what I mean?
Well, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. We all, and I share this with our guys. We just had a round table or something for Black History Month here on campus. And I share with our guys, everybody's got a gift. So if anything, I'll say God has given me the gift to have discernment for the space that we're in, to understand the young man and how what's the best way to motivate him? What's the best way to motivate him? And living out the burdens with these young men and knowing what they're going through. So the gift to be able to do that, I'll just give credit to God. He gave that gift. And I share with our guys, living your gift, man, and not your curse. Because we curse too. There's some things that I've had to get over and overcome. And you know, we got generational curses that otherwise we'd probably all be millionaires and all be stars and but there's some things that prevented us from, we lost some steps. You know, maybe some of us come from a poor financial background where we got to learn how to take care of our finances, where we got to learn how to see ourselves as maybe, you know, better stewards of, you know, some of the things that we have. Some of us don't come from a great academic background, you know, in our home. Maybe our parents didn't teach us certain things. Our parents taught us this one thing that's helped us in this area, but maybe our parents didn't teach us in this area. And there's some generational things that we have to get through. So we like to share, you know, live in our gift. And so I'm trying to live in my gift. You know, there's some things that I'm still trying to get over that maybe I was cursed, that I see in my past generation. And I've gotten over some things that I saw some of my parents or my grandparents make mistakes. Mm-hmm. So we've gotten over. So living in our gifts, man, and not in our curse.
That's real. Coach, I know we're coming up on time. I promise I won't keep you that much longer. I just have one more question, and I think it's perfect, a perfect tie-in based off of what you just shared. I wanted to talk to you about your relationship with God, your faith, and how that, it sounds like you said, that mission trip was really the catalyst for you to get into service and coaching and pouring into young men's lives. Has that always been a part of your life, or how have you seen that relationship with God just tie into, you know, the man that you are now and where you're at in your life?
Well, I think early there was a pressing there was a calling on my life. And I can remember my mom asking me, I think you hear from the Lord. I think I think you're convicted. And ideally I was. I think there was a pressing and a calling on my life early. And I think God preserved me. So, I was out there and I was doing some things I shouldn't have been doing, but I think God protected me so that nothing catastrophic happened before, I dedicated my life to him or I was saved. So nothing catastrophic happened. So now I was preserved to do his work and to serve. And so I think that was there. And I think there was a calling on my life. But then when I got an opportunity to go on that missions trip, I didn't know, people say leading people to Christ. We all assume it's a pastor that's supposed to bring you to an altar call. But when I had an opportunity, we went on this missions trip and everybody has all these ideas. I had to go take a class. How do you lead people to Christ in this missions trip? And I'm sitting up there like, man, I don't know how to do this. And all these people are getting A's in the class. And I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Well, we go over there and everybody who sounds great, sharing their faith and doing all that in front of these people who are, third world or whatever. I'm like, man, I don't know how to do that. But then there was a authenticity when it was my time to do it. And when I was able to reach out and speak to people who were like me, to people who looked like me. And then from that point on, I never forget all the other people that were on the mission team that didn't have the same experience as me. They said, man, you go ahead and you share for the rest of the time that we here. You share. He said, because man, you have this way of drawing people. And then when I left, the rest of the missions team left, they all left me letters. And I stayed there because I was trying to play professional and I went and tried out for teams. They shared with me, they gave me all these letters and they were saying, you have an amazing opportunity to minister. You have a calling on your life. And I never knew that. And when I really thought about it, I did draw those people. The Lord used me as a vessel. So me as how I look, how I spoke, the words that I use, God used that to draw people in to hear the message. And with that, I kind of said, maybe I do have a calling. And because of that, I looked around, I said, man, why am I over here in Brazil? And I said, man, I can walk outside my door. And so I started a group called Save Through Hoops, which was at my high school 5 minutes away. And so I would bring some middle school kids and then I would take them through sports and clinics. And then I would share my faith with them and they listened and they heard and we were able to, be used to lead people to Christ. And so that's where kind of it all started. And from there on, the NCAA shut me down from really reaching out to young people once I worked for NCAA schools. So I couldn't just go and do clinics and all that because there was contact. But I see it now that every space that I'm in, I don't care where I'm at, I'm representing Christ and I'm there to share my faith and I'm there to lead people to the gospel. And as long as I do that, God will continue to elevate me, put me on platforms. I won't be successful unless my intentions are to share my faith. And that's just me. The other people, you can go do what you want and you'll be successful. But for me, God has called me to do this. And he always reminds me, he'll grab me and pull me back, take a step back. I'm like, why isn't things working out? And then I'm like, okay, there's this thorn like he gave Paul. There's a thorn that I'm always got this thorn to remember that he's called me to minister. That's just me. That's not for everybody. That's for me. He called me to minister. Anybody I'm in front of, any platform that I get is to share who he is and to make sure everybody knows that he's the one in true living God. So that's kind of where I'm at and plant seeds in these young men and help them grow as young men and lead them as well. And you don't have to believe what I want to, you don't have to believe what I believe and you don't have to accept it, but God has called me to plant the seeds. And I'm not going to shove it down your throat, but I'm convicted every single day to plant seeds.
That's powerful, Coach. I know we're coming up on time. I got to go pee real quick. You have like 2 or 3 more minutes so I can just go pee and come back. I got one last question, then I'll have you off like right at the scheduled time.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Yep. So
the reason I wanted to wrap up with that question about your faith is because, and like you said, not everybody's going to be a Christian. I don't even consider myself a Christian these days, but I do have a very strong relationship with God for whatever that's worth, right? And I noticed, to your point, when I was living a certain way or thinking a certain way or operating a certain way that was away from God or not having that cultivated relationship with God, my life was going one way or I was getting certain results. When I leaned into that relationship with God, my own personal relationship, living a certain way and, just having that open line of communication and using myself as a vessel, like you said, that's when things started to blossom. That's when things started to open up, not just in my professional life, but personally, how I feel about myself, how I feel about the way I'm living. So I wanted to ask you that and have you share about that, because I think it's important in the world, the times we're living in, where society and, everything will try to pull you away from God, to try to find some sort of relationship. I'm not telling everybody you got to be in church every Sunday, but just try to find some sort of relationship with God and allow that to be very present in your life and just watch as things start to unfold. Because no matter what you believe in, there's something that governs all of us and keeps us connected.
Well, you just said what I was going to say. There's a supreme authority, and there's not, there can't possibly be 5 different supreme authorities. There's one. And so for me, I believe that God, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit is the true and living God. And I believe, that's what I believe. And I believe his authoritative word is the Bible. And so I follow that. And you have to know that there is an authority, there is a creator. And that's really what I would add. And you have to find that, and you got to find that truth. And once you find that truth, you align yourself with what his intentions and his will is, because ultimately his will is going to be done. So it's best we just align ourselves with him, because he controls everything. And he allows everything to happen, and just good and bad. There's some good that happens that he allows, and there's some bad that he allows. And some of the bad is a result of some of the decisions that we make. But ultimately, if we can align ourselves with him, who's the creator, then we'd be in a better shape than if we disalign ourselves with him, who ultimately his will, whatever is going to be, ultimately, that's what I believe. Whatever his will is going to happen. And if we can align ourselves with him, life would be a lot better.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, I think that's the perfect way for us to close out. Coach, definitely appreciate you spending some time today. Thank you for all that you do, not just pouring into these young men, but I'm glad you were given that platform, or that God gave you that platform to show your heart, because like I said, it's so much bigger than basketball. I'm inspired by watching you to be a better man, to be a better coach, to be a better husband. I don't have kids yet, but I know your example will make me a better father as well. So I appreciate your time today, and just keep doing your thing.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, so if you made it to the end of this episode, first of all, thank you for tuning in. For those of you guys who are here for the first time, welcome. Please like the video if you're watching on YouTube, and subscribe to this channel. I have a lot more great interviews coming up. I think you'll really be surprised with some of the guests that I have and some of the stories that they have to share. This is important work. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please just leave a 5-star review, subscribe, and share this episode or any other episodes out with someone who needs to hear it. I am on a mission to help as many athletes transition out of their sport and have successful lives after their careers, and not just survive, but thrive in everything that they do. And you guys know I do that in a myriad of ways. It's not just the podcast, it's not just the books, but I do offer coaching as well. I want to encourage you guys to go back and look at some of the testimonials of former athletes that I've worked with to help them through their transitions. Guys, don't hesitate to reach out. Visit TajDeshaun.com. That's where you can find all the free resources, not just the podcast and the books, but access to me. You can schedule a free call with me. I'm not going to get on that call and try to sell you on buying the group program. I have a ton of free access and scholarships for athletes to work with me. So utilize those resources, guys. And last but not least, I definitely want to encourage you guys to grab my first book, Thrive After Sports. You can just go on Amazon, type in Taj Deshaun. I have multiple books on there, but I always try to point people to Thrive After Sports, just because I think that's the book that I look at as the most impactful, that can help an athlete through the transition. I know a lot of people have read that book and been helped through the transition without ever having to speak to me or even listening to my podcast. And I just got this recording today that I wanted to share with you guys from my guy Benjamin Van Buren. He's a soccer player, former soccer player at Mercy College, went on to play professional soccer and just recently retired. And he read my book while he was playing, but then read it again after he retired. And this is what he had to say about it. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next episode. Peace. And here's Ben.
Yo, Taj, it's Ben from Athlete Mentor. Just want to let you know, obviously your book came in and I read it a while ago when I was still in season, and it didn't really hit me then. I was like, yeah, cool, it's a great book, whatever. And then I went to Spain, and I was playing for a team over there, and then I left because my grandmother was sick, so I came home, and now it's hitting me. So I read it again. Dude, that thing is phenomenal. Like, if you could put this audio on a case study on your website, I would do it, because it's crazy how, like, the skills and attributes that student athletes have just go missing. And it's like, yeah, you're playing sports, you have all this adrenaline, all this hype about you, you're working out all the time, you feel good, and then out of nowhere it's like, oh, cool, I'm done. You know, like, I have nothing to work for really. So then you get into sales, you get into other things, and you find something that you want to build for yourself, and that's what you get that excitement and that adrenaline from again. So yeah, man, I just wanted to let you know that I read it again, and it really hit me now that I'm kind of officially retired as a player. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say, man. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're living the life. I'm actually on Long Island now. I'm gonna go to Stony Brook basketball game, so at your alma mater. But yeah, dude, phenomenal work, and let's obviously stay in touch. Maybe get on a call soon. Talk to you later. Peace.